Alexandria, open up!
I'm Jake Horrifying. This is Dude Horrifying. And today I got with me special guest Brandon from Avalon Comic. You've seen him on before. He came on episode 2 to talk about his new comic, and it's got a brand new Kickstarter out right now. Today we're going to be discussing The Walking Dead. The show is finally coming to an end after 11 long seasons, 12 years on AMC. Brandon, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. It's been a pretty good stretch of weeks for me. How about yourself?
Same here. Trying to stay busy. We just like you mentioned that we just launched the issue 3 Kickstarter, so our time has been really devoted on that and really trying to push that out and get that out to people's eyes and have them see what Avalon's all about. Even though it's going to be a lot of time for most people, it's going to be the first time seeing it. But we're here to show that we're here to stay.
In issue 3, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that you were on here talking about issue 2. I mean, you're really ready to get this content out there. You really have this ready to go.
Yeah, a lot of it script-wise is done. We're really pushing through the art. Demetrius is really doing a good job with the artwork and all that stuff. So it's really about trying to get the whole story out. Like I've said in the past before, the Kickstarter has a lot of projects, a lot of great ones. So I think one of my beliefs is to really show the difference between us and everybody else's projects, to show that we're here and we're here and we're great and we're going to show you what we got, is letting the story speak for itself rather than kind of hitting out an issue and letting people soak that in. We're going to get this first season out or volume out to really show people that we're different and we're here to stay.
Eric, I got signed.
I love it. I love every second of that. And the best part about this is I feel like it's such a good love letter to The Walking Dead while not imitating The Walking Dead. And I think that's the best part about Avalon Comic. And that's a good segue into our topic for today, is looking back on The Walking Dead. How long have you been watching the show?
Oh, I've been watching it since the beginning. One of my earliest memories, real quick, of The Walking Dead. I remember it was me, my dad, and my brother were watching TV. It was something on AMC. Ended up seeing a commercial or trailer for The Walking Dead, for the pilot episode and all that stuff. We're like, holy shit, this is awesome! This is awesome. And then it said brought to you by AMC, new series, and we were pissed because shows back then were not like the thing nowadays. We wanted it to be a movie and all that stuff, but I'm definitely glad it ended up being a show and getting 11 great seasons that they did. So I'm definitely grateful that they ended up doing the TV show.
So I was a Walking Dead hater for a
Really?
long time.
Really?
I didn't come around. Well, I hadn't seen it. I actually remember the very first time I remember The Walking Dead was I was in 10th grade, and it was the season 3. Spoiler alert for everyone. We're talking season 1 to 10 before we go any further. So we're not going into season 11. I know that a lot of people aren't caught up. We don't want to get involved with spoilers for season 11, but we will be talking season 1 through 10. So if you're not caught up, go catch up to season 10 and come back to this episode. But going back to what I was saying, season 3, the governor's whole role. I remember when the governor died in season 4. I was in 10th grade, and people were showing up to school saying the governor died. And I thought they were talking about the governor of the state. And I'm like, oh my God, the governor died? Yeah, the governor got killed. And I was like, holy freaking crap. They're like, yeah, he chopped Herschel's head off too. I was like, what?
Oh, wait, what's okay?
Like, it started clicking, and they're like, yeah, The Walking Dead. So I've had a lot of the show spoiled for me. I had Glenn's death spoiled for me.
Lucille is thirsty.
Carl's death spoiled for me. This is to show you just when I started watching. I knew Rick was leaving the show before I started watching. I started watching this when the pandemic hit.
That sucks. That's one of the things that I tell my wife though too, because she watched it on TV with me, like live, like every Sunday, I think starting in season 8. And I just remember watching from the beginning. It was just the hype that it ended up bringing, and like the later seasons, that it ended up kind of taking with it. It was just crazy. I remember season 6 had the best hype for me personally. I thought, like, when you watch that every Sunday, you were like, holy shit. And then that build up to Negan at the end of the season, that was just, I could not believe it. Like the way they did it was perfect for me. But it sucks that you missed all like the hype and all that stuff.
Yeah, I kind of hopped on whenever, and not that The Walking Dead died, but it definitely lost a lot of its steam after after the death of Carl. I feel like Glenn was the start cracking in the fan base, and then Carl really stopped people from caring. Which after watching the show and then going back and rewatching parts of it, I feel like Carl's death makes sense, and I think it really helps the story, even though he lives in the comics. But that's a discussion for a different day. The Walking Dead, though, watching it for the first time when the pandemic started, because first off, it's got 11 seasons now. It's a behemoth of a show to start if you haven't already started. So with all the free time of the pandemic, getting into it, watching it, like binge watching it was rough, because it is a depressing show.
Yes. On that note, it definitely and the fact that you mentioned that it is a depressing show in some aspects, a lot of aspects, really. Because I kind of grew up on that show, really. It was 11 years of my life, really. But as I got older with the show and all that stuff too, it put it in perspective for me, and really kind of kickstarted my creative mentality, because I love the genre. I've always loved Dawn of the Dead, 30 Days of Night and all that stuff that I've said in the past as well. But obviously Walking Dead is a juggernaut. But to have that show kind of labeled out and kind of drawn out, and having the characters be, interweaved within each other and kind of go through their problems and all that stuff, and really show the drama aspect of it as well, was a great kind of creative thing for me, and really getting into that aspect with those characters and all that stuff. It really does have a lot of influence on Avalon and all that stuff as well. But obviously, with The Walking Dead being The Walking Dead, we want to do our own thing with Avalon, but we definitely do take inspiration from shows and movies in that genre for sure.
Oh yeah, I see it a lot with your character development. Your character development with Avalon is, I would say, just as good as it is with The Walking Dead. And this is just, we're 2 issues in. We're just getting the Kickstarter going for the 3rd issue, and you're already starting to see this character development, some characters having issues, and seeing this world kind of build. And I think that's a really cool part to see in anything, really.
Mm-hmm. Damn it. Yeah, that's just the thing, though, too. And that's what I really loved about The Walking Dead, though, show and the TV, the show and the comic, was just letting it all breathe, rather than letting it be a movie like I back in the past wished it was. But the fact that we got to let it all breathe, and rather just be like, okay, this is action zombie movie, here it is, it's good, or we hate it, or whatever it might be. But no, we get to have all these episodes and have all these characters do their things, develop, and all that stuff. And that was one of my biggest draws into The Walking Dead was. As soon as I realized what the feeling was allowing the characters to kind of develop and take time to do their things and make mistakes and learn from their mistakes. And then you see seasons down the line, okay, they learned from that mistake that they did maybe in season 2. Now they're here doing this, and that's a good thing for me, watching it as a fan and as a creator, doing that with what I got with Avalon, as well as looking forward in the future, having these characters do things, learn or not, and then kind of see how they act issues down the line.
Who are some of your favorite characters in The Walking Dead? Just out of curiosity.
It wide variety. Obviously, Rick. Negan's one of my favorite. Daryl, but not for the reasons that, like, the fangirls love Daryl. Obviously, I'm not fangirling over Daryl. He just does. There's some things that Daryl does that pisses a lot of people off, but I think a lot of it is like it's just Daryl's character most times. I know that sometimes the writing gets stupid, but Daryl's character is just somebody who just gets it, and I feel like a lot of people, not a lot of people, a lot of characters in shows or movies or whatever are just not characters that get it. And sometimes it's as simple as just getting what's being told to you. And Daryl has that most of the time. That's why I like his character like that. And I'm trying to think of. I would just say those are my probably three big characters that I would pick if I was picking just three of them.
That's fair. My favorite character of this entire show, I actually have his introduction right here in comic form, issue 100, Negan.
Yeah.
I love Negan. I love that he killed Glenn, which is a very unpopular opinion among people.
Yeah.
I don't know, just something about the character is just so fun to me.
Oh hell yeah! That's why I have literally a whole bookshelf of like Negan stuff. I have all the bats, I have this big statue of him and all that. I'm a big fan of Negan as well, probably for a lot of the same reasons that you are. He's just just a cocksucker sometimes, but then it's like he's fun. He's a fun character to listen to. He's a fun character to like watch, and even in the comic too. Even reading him through the comic was even fun. And Robert Kirkman did an amazing job with obviously making that character and making him fun in the comic books, and then AMC making Negan fun when he needed to be, but the show kind of bounced him around a little bit though. It bothers me that they just didn't do the F words. With Negan, the F words and the absurd swearing is a part of his character, and I feel like Jeffrey Dean Morgan would have done phenomenal with that if they just gave him the freedom to do it. Like the F takes or from the season 6.
You killed more of my people. Not cool. Not fucking cool.
Kind of thing.
Yes.
That was I loved watching. I'll watch that to this day, like on YouTube, just the F takes and all that stuff. But
I think it's crazy how much that season opener for season 7 is spot on, like almost exactly replicated from like it's almost exactly what issue 100 is. Yeah,
no, seriously, it's really good. I liked it as well, like how you said with the Glenn death. To me, I mean, you have to. Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things that you just have to do it. You cannot get around doing that because he did it in the comic. I mean, it has to be it. I don't know how any other words to use there, but Glenn's death was cool. And the thing, a lot of people that jumped off the show because of Glenn. I don't think it was because of Glenn. I think it was the writing and the episode structure is kind of what made people mad, and people didn't really think of it like that. They were just mad that Glenn died.
I will say I've never been a big fan of Glenn. I'm not a big fan of Glenn. I'm not a big fan of Maggie. I don't know why. Binge watching it from season 1, because I feel like binge watching it is like a big difference from watching it week to week. Every time that from I think it started in the early seasons, and then that hate just kind of stayed there. But like season 2, because season 1 Glenn is awesome. Season 2 Glenn, whenever he's like falling for Maggie, they do a lot of stupid shit, and I think that just got under my skin. And then season 3 with the governor, all the shit that happened there, and I was just like, okay, I don't know what people see in Glenn. So his death was like, especially because they faked out his death in season 6. On the dumpster. So it's like I already thought he was dead at one point, even though I knew that Negan killed him. I was like, well, something's gonna not work here, but I don't know. I have never really been a fan of Glenn. I liked seeing him go out. I liked the whole Negan story. I thought Negan was justified in killing Abraham and Glenn in the show. especially after Rick's group went and slaughtered an entire outpost of saviors. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the show did it obviously a little bit different there as well, with how, like you said, how they do kind of justify the killings, and how they've said it many times before on The Talking Dead as well. Like, if you were to follow Negan from the start, you would feel for that character. It would be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then when they get this payback on this group and they kill two other people, they deserve it. You know what I mean? Not knowing Rick and group and all that stuff. So it's just like, they did it in a good way for him to be likable, and also the villain, obviously, to the survivors and all that stuff. But I like Negan as a character. They got the perfect actor to play him and all that stuff. So they just did, they hit the nail on the head there. Just obviously my opinions about the whole season from 7 on is a lot of the structure and the writing. It wasn't so much the characters or the acting. It was just the way they structured all of it. It kind of bothered me.
Did you like season 9 and 10?
I liked 9. Season 10 I did enjoy as well. I could see, but my thing is I could see why people don't like those seasons, but I enjoyed them personally. Like season 9 and 10, I enjoyed those seasons. And again, like I mentioned already, I could see why people don't like them, along with 7 and 8. I was just, I was there from the start. I'm going to finish it out right. I don't understand why people would just go through 7, 8 seasons and go, I'm done with the show. It sucks. Like, I feel like it doesn't suck that bad to the point where you just drop 8 years of your life, invested in this show, to just be like, no, I'm done with it. That just
7 and 8, I didn't think were great.
No.
I thought they got boring. But
yeah, a lot to do with that structure, I think. In my opinion, they like you said, you kill Glenn and Abraham, then you go to the kingdom. Then you go back to Alexandria. Then you're seeing where Tara went. Well, like, who cares about Tara at this point? And then, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like a bunch of weird spots to put episodes. And it's like they did that, and then you could tell with the budget in season 8 really got to them. They lowered the budget and all that stuff, and a lot of stupid stuff. But that All Out War was kind of a disappointment. You know what I mean? The last fight was kind of a disappointment, but whatever.
Which, it's a shame because season 7 and 8, like the Kingdom group, I love King Ezekiel.
Yeah.
I love Jerry. And it's just like they could have season 7 and 8, because I love season 9 and 10. So I'm not going to trash 9 and 10, but 7 and 8, I just wish that we got better development with King Ezekiel and Jerry. I really wish, because I love Kari Payton, I love Cooper Anderson, great actors.
Yeah. Well, no, I agree with you 100%. They had that was the best part of The Walking Dead, and you screwed it up. You have Negan, you have the Kingdom, you have all these great characters you can really show and shine, but you've screwed it up being cheap. That's just my inner rage from AMC so I can dish it out at AMC. It's just like, come on, that's the best arc of the whole Walking Dead, and you watched it. I don't know. I don't know.
How'd you feel about Carl's death?
I didn't care about it. What's annoying though too, and I remember saying, I can't remember who I said it to, but as I watched that episode, and obviously you hear all the rumors like, okay, he's getting killed off because his acting was always subpar and whatever, and all these weird behind the door, how does that reference go? Like closed door deals and all that stuff was going on. And then, but I thought his last episode, he did a really good job acting, and which is like unfortunate because all the rumors were, okay, he sucks at acting, but then he ends up killing it this last episode, his episode of his death and all that stuff. But I didn't care too much about it because I was more of like a comic based thing where it's like, okay, he's supposed to lead on, especially with the rumors of Rick leaving as well and all that stuff. So it's just like, what are you going to do? But obviously they're in that situation right now. So it's not too bad, but definitely feel like it could have grown to be a little bit better.
I thought I understood why people were upset with it. I understood why the majority of the fan base, like comic fans, leaving the show after that happened, especially because Carl's role in the comic is massive.
Yeah.
But I love seeing that Carl's role essentially became Judith's role, and I love the not grown up, but the older version of Judith that's portrayed after Rick's departure in season 9. And Kaylee Fleming, the actress that plays Judith, I've met her. Real sweet young actress. I think she kills it. And I think the character of Judith being like this new Carl is great for the show. And I think it's good to have a little bit of departure from the comics for the show. So I personally, though it broke my heart watching Carl die, because Carl's like the same age as me, and watching him succeed at like such a young age, the actor Chandler Riggs, who I've also met, I just felt bad for Chandler because of the rumors you were talking about, hearing that he potentially bought a house and was really ready to move forward. That really sucked, but I think it was good for the show, surprisingly.
Well, they ended up turning it around for sure, just like you mentioned with Judith. Her as an actress is great. They lucked out with her being as good as she is, and they definitely went down a good avenue with they played with the cards that they were dealt with, and they ended up working out. A lot of those moves and a lot of those hands were like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But I feel like they ended up turning into like something good rather than letting it turn into a complete disaster. They definitely picked up the fumble, and I think I'll refer that as the Carl death and all that stuff as like a fumble to me, but definitely picked it back up. And with the Judith and RJ as well, hopefully they have some good plans for RJ too. So we'll see what happens, I guess, with that.
What are some of your favorite episodes of the show?
Right off the top of my head, I'll say, episodes or season 6, the last episode when Negan kind of came in. That was a really tense episode and all that stuff. Especially the build up was perfect. So that one's the first one that comes to mind. The second to the last episode of season 2. So the one where Shane lets the prisoner out and like all that chaos is going on. That was one of my favorite. I think the one where Dale dies that's that episode. That was one of my favorite episodes. The pilot episode, you have to love it. I just love the, letting it all breathe and just kind of walking us through it all. It's very, not slow. I don't want to use that word because it sounds like a negative, but it was like, I'm just going to use it anyways. It was nice and slow, and it let it all kind of like establish and not forced anything. It was really good with the pilot episode and all that. But those would be the ones that are off the top of my head that I can kind of say were my favorite episodes.
It's funny because you're so close to my favorite episodes, because season 2 finale, the barn burning down, one of my favorites. The pilot, also another favorite. Then the season 7 opener, Negan actually killing Glenn.
Yeah.
It's like, those are a lot of my favorites. Then I have like favorite like scenes and favorite quotes.
Oh,
like,
of course.
Season 5 when Rick's like, "We are the Walking Dead." I love that.
We tell ourselves that we are the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Season 4, whenever they show up to Terminus and they lock them in the train car, and he's like, "They're gonna find out they're fucking with the wrong people."
Yeah.
I love that.
They're fucking with the wrong people.
And then there's been episodes, there's deaths that I enjoyed, like I say in Glenn's death. Another death that I enjoyed was watching the governor die. Was fun.
Yeah.
Merle was one of my favorite characters, but seeing him die, I think so. I don't like Daryl. That's an unpopular opinion. I don't like Daryl. I think Daryl's very one-dimensional. There's one episode where I thought Daryl was super interesting, and it's a shame because I hated the episode. But in season 10, my apologies. Season 10, there's this episode where he goes and it's like he had a girlfriend while he was searching for Rick. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. That's the only episode where I was like, oh, there's something actually interesting about Daryl. Otherwise, to me, he's very one-dimensional. And like the fact that people get super excited that he says like, Rick is my brother. And that's like, oh my God, he said that Rick's my brother. It's like, how one-dimensional does your character have to be for that to elicit that much excitement? But watching Merle die in season 3 and watching the heartbreak that Daryl experiences while having to kill his own blood brother, I thought that was about the top tier amount of respect I had for the character of Daryl.
Yeah, no, I can agree with a lot of those things, but like I said, I just think the reasons I did like him, because he was I wouldn't call him a B. He was just like kind of like a background character for a while there, but he was like the no shit kind of guy. Like this, it's this. You know what I mean? That's what I liked about him. But one of my favorite death scenes, would have to be not favorite death scene, but one that felt good was the governor's death, because I just remember watching it and like when he came back in season 4, I'm like, what the fuck? This dude's back. He won't die. He just will not die. And he keeps fucking everything up, and survivors are having a good time, and he keeps messing everything up, and then he still won't die, and then he's beating the shit out of Rick, and then finally, boom, the katana comes right through his chest. So it's just like, and then he was still crawling, and I'm like, dude, this dude will not go down. And then he gets obviously his head shot, but yeah. But it's just like one thing after another. I just remember feeling so pissed off that dude would just not die. He did a good job playing the role as the governor and all that stuff. He really made me pissed off.
Yeah, David Morrissey is a great actor.
Yeah.
What he did with the governor is awesome.
He did really.
They gave the governor a lot of character development. In season 3, there's villains we've gotten, like the Terminus guys. I don't even remember their names. They got nothing. They showed up to Terminus, and it's like, hey, guess what? We're all cannibals. And then, because I guess that was something I was disappointed with. Terminus was something I was disappointed with. God, I'm saying a lot of stuff I'm disappointed with, and I love The Walking Dead. Not to be negative towards Walking Dead. I love The Walking Dead, but they had all this build up, half of a season for season 4, where they're going to Terminus, and then Terminus is like 2 episodes in season 5, and it's like, all right, we're gonna move on from there.
Yeah, I remember.
God.
Yeah, that was a big controversial topic when that was obviously the hype and all that stuff. It was just like, okay, that was just 2 episodes. That was the whole second half of the season 4 and all that stuff. So it was just whatever. But I liked it. I mean, one part, I guess a part of this series that people kind of forget about too, that I even forget about myself. I just thought about it now, was I really enjoyed the back half of season 5. That just now coming into Alexandria, trying to figure everything out. They're like animals. Now they're like home. They can be safe, but they're trying to, adapt to being safe and too scared to be too safe. That was a fun season towards the second half of that season.
I thought the entirety of season 5 is a lot of fun.
I just think. I don't know why, but I just think I forget about it so much, compared to all the other seasons.
Weirdly enough, I think the season I forget the most about is season 1, which I know is one of the most popular of the seasons.
Yeah.
But the only thing I remember is, not the only thing, but I remember meeting Morgan, Rick riding into Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Merle losing his hand, and then the CDC for some reason is my biggest memory of that, and I did not like the CDC episode. Again, another negative, and but I loved season 2, which I heard isn't a popular one.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if that. I've heard from other people that season 2, because it takes place at the barn and that it's a slower pace, that people didn't like it as much.
I enjoyed it for that reason. I enjoyed it because it was very character development centered, season. It was just very, because it's still early in the apocalypse. People tried to keep their humanity. I thought it all made sense. And that was honestly one of my favorite seasons, season 2.
Did you like Shane?
I like Shane as the villain, yes. But definitely, as a viewer, and you're you love to hate him. It's kind of one of those feelings I'm trying to get out. I couldn't stand him because I was all Rick. I loved Rick as a character at that time too. So Shane was pissing me off, but again, it was one of those things where you love to hate him. He did very, very good playing Shane.
See, I have this thing where at the beginning of the show, I'm rooting for Rick. Rick's one of my favorite characters.
Sure.
But every time season 3 rolls around, and looking back, I'm like, damn, I liked Shane. I think Shane was right, and I liked Shane as a character a million times more than some of the characters on the show right now.
Yeah, no, he definitely was right, and that was one of the topics that was very popular at the time of that show or that season. Was Shane's right, but he's right too quick. You can't, and that was the good part that made him the villain, was just the apocalypse just happened. You know what I mean? So it's just like you still want to keep that humanity, but the thing is that's what the 90% of the group wanted to do, and then you got the other 10% with Shane and maybe Andrea too. You know, she was kind of floating around everywhere, but like that just wanted to. You know, they knew what it had to be, and that was it. But it was just too soon. You know, because obviously Rick ended up morphing into his character similar to Shane, but later down the line, so it seemed more natural and made more sense.
I think some of my favorite content with Rick is Rick losing his fucking mind.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Like season 3 after God, I'm gonna forget her name. After his wife dies.
Yeah, Lori.
God, Lori, there we go. After Lori dies, watching him with the phone call in the prison, just lose his fucking mind. Loved it. Season 4, whenever he bites out the biker's throat.
Yeah. What the hell are you gonna do now, sport?
Yep.
One of my favorite scenes. I thought that was just full savage Rick Grimes. Watching him beat the shit out of another character I forgot the name of. In season 5. No. Season 5, his girlfriend's husband.
What the hell is his name? It's gonna piss me off.
All I remember is that he's a doctor.
Yeah, and I know who you're talking about.
Big old dude.
Damn.
And they had that big fight sequence, watching him beat the shit out of him, and then him telling everyone like, "This is how it's gotta be." Like, loved that. I don't know. Anytime Rick's starting to go crazy, it's great content. But I also get annoyed with Rick a lot because I feel like Rick has to go through like the same character development over and over and over again, where he goes too far, and then people are like, "Whoa, you went too far," and he reels it back in, and then he goes too far, and they're like, "Whoa, you went too far," and he reels it back in. And that was my only issue with the character of Rick. That's why Rick is not number 1. That's why Negan's number 1 for me, because Negan starts off as this villain. You think that he loves killing people, but really he views people as a resource. And then you find out that really Negan is a good guy that just got put in this bad situation. I don't know. That's what makes the difference between the character of Negan and the character of Rick for me.
No, I agree. I agree with a lot of that. There's just no way I'm not going to love Rick, and I know it's very similar to you as well. And I definitely get what you're saying, and I could get down with even liking Negan a little bit more than Rick, just because of the reasons you're saying, because you get to see that development over the course of time. Like you said, good guy put in a bad situation, took advantage of the situation, and painted as a bad guy. Here he is, now he's a bad guy to this group, and they did Negan very well. I just wish that they allowed him to swear more.
And that also kind of plays into what you were saying earlier, that they did what they could with the hand they were dealt. With Rick gone, with Carl gone, like putting Negan on the forefront, having him have this relationship with Judith, that all played in their favor for that character, which is why it succeeded so well.
Yes. I think that was a perfect kind of avenue too, because then it not like a father figure, but like it's just like he's there, he's gonna help her, and he likes the kids, and he wants to help her. He doesn't want to see her die and all that stuff. So it was a good route that they took with Negan, because then now how are you gonna be pissed off at him? He just saved your daughter, or this kid here and all that stuff. So because Michonne was still in the show as well by that time as well. So it's just like, you can't be mad at him. He just saved your adopted daughter.
What character death hit you the hardest?
Like hit me the hardest?
Yes.
I honestly
in tears.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I was ever in tears when a character died. The character death that put me in the most like, whoa, like holy fuck, like the awe moment would have to be the Glenn moment. And I know you're gonna hate that, but it's just hard it just with that build up, like for the commercials and all that stuff, and getting ready for the season, waiting the summer and having that all being, everybody trying to spoil it, and then you do it the way you filmed it. You put everybody back in the moment. You killed Abraham. You're like, damn, like holy shit. And then you're doing it, and then of course Daryl needs to be a hard ass, which was annoying, but he hits them, and then you're sitting there and you just know what's coming. There's like that 5, 6, 7, 8 second pause, and Negan's like, so, and you just know he's right fucking next to God. And you're like, no, it's gonna happen, and then boom. I was just like that crazy, like waiting for it. That you're like almost holding your breath, and then there it is. So I'd have to say the Glenn one.
Mine is Tyrese. And that's a weird character to like. I don't think that was a very popular character, based on what I've seen through old videos of people talking about old seasons of The Walking Dead. But binge watching it, the episode before Tyrese dies. Now the Tyrese was like the mid-season opener.
Okay.
So there was like time off between the episode before and Tyrese's death.
Yeah.
Well, watching it back to back to back, the episode before his death was Beth's death. Beth getting killed by the cop. That mid-season finale of season 5. And then, so I watched that and I'm like, holy shit, Beth died. She was a mid character. I love the actress Emily Kinney, who I've met also. I've met like everyone, I guess. But I don't know. I wasn't like devastated, but I wasn't like happy that she died, especially with the character development she had with Daryl in previous episodes. But then the following episode, I'm like, all right, everyone's safe. They just killed their character. Like, they're like, this is gonna be just like building up for the second half of the season. And the opening of the episode's them digging a grave, and I'm like, oh, they're burying Beth. And then you watch the episode, and Tyrese gets bit. Tyrese is having hallucinations, and I like Tyrese a lot. Even though a lot of the characters I like are the villain characters. I do really like some of the like moral compass characters, like Herschel, like Tyrese, Father Gabriel sometimes. But God, it broke me. I had to like stop binging for a month after that because I was just like, that one fucking hurt.
Yeah, no, I remember even that episode as well. You're just like, some of those characters. I mean, it's a very similar feeling when you get like a loved character that dies. You're just like sitting there, and you're like, man, what the fuck? They really just did that, and it's just like that was one of the episodes too. You explaining it put me back in that moment too. You're just like sitting there, you're watching it for the first time. You're like, well, he's fucking dead. He gets bit, and then they're trying to save him. You're like, okay, there might be hope. Cut his damn arm off, but then you could just see, they pale his face, and you could just tell he's losing blood and dying, and you're like, damn, okay, that's it. But yeah, I remember that my feeling for that episode too.
That was fucking rough.
It definitely was.
Carl's also, even though I knew it was coming, not the episode he got bit and they live, but like the final goodbye, where he's in the church / town hall, and then they're outside and you hear the gunshot. That was like that fucking sucks. Other than that though, not a lot of deaths got me.
I like a lot of people couldn't stand it. I remember talking to my hairstylist at the time, when Carl died, because she's like, all Rick has is the like the blank stare face with tears running down his face, and I like it. I enjoy it because it's to me it's like a real thing. You're speechless, like especially with the Carl death too. He comes down there, he shows him the bite, and he's just like drops to his knees, and that's it. He's crying and can't say anything. He doesn't know. His brain's all fucking jump like everywhere. Can't think. And I just thought it was a real feeling, real natural, instinct for Rick to act that way. And I don't know. That was another one where it made it like kind of hit, like you said. Like Carl was another one. I didn't even think of that one. With how the characters were reacting to it. With the music too. The music. I remember the music too. Michonne dropping to her knees. Just like, yeah, that was a hard one too.
The line from the episode that stuck with me most is Rick saying like, all this was for you, Carl.
Carl, it was all for you. Right from the start.
Like that was like, damn, like it really, because that's how it is in the comic. That's how it is been for the past 8 seasons. Like everything that Rick does is for his family. So it's
Literally,
like,
yeah.
damn. And then you see that whole season unfold, and we talked about that. I don't want to rehash that, but I mean, they had better choices there. But I did think it was cool when Rick slashed Negan's throat.
Yeah.
As much as I loved Negan, I thought that was pretty gnarly. And then they immediately retconned it. Is that like I haven't read the comics. I've read select few. I've been going through them. There's just a ton of them also. Is that what happens in the comics?
In a different way, yeah. He ends up cutting his throat. I don't know if it's so dramatic. I can't remember if it's so dramatic the way that he had to like get it like that, or if it's just like a quick gaze on the neck. I can't remember. But obviously in the show, he cuts him right in the like almost the Adam's apple and all that stuff. So it's just like and kind of like whatever. But yeah, that was a pretty intense scene as well. They could have done all that. It just bothered me that they were dancing around a tree, and there was no real fight scene with the group. And because in the comic, it's literally an all-out war. You know, they're shooting at each other. They're, you know, doing the whole thing. So that was kind of annoying. But the overall kind of message from it was great. I thought, you know, Rick kind of turning. I kind of like how you're saying how he goes too far and then he has to come back. It goes too far. But that was one of the moments as well where it's like Carl dies. Carl wanted him to not kill Negan, obviously, within the letter he wrote, and then he ends up turning his way, and opens up season 9, which was, I liked the beginning of season 9.
The vision Carl has as he's dying, where everyone's living in peace and harmony, and Negan's there. It's interesting to see that kind of come to fruition in season 10, and maybe in season 11 for those of you that haven't watched, but to see that, because that's also what I was talking about earlier, where Carl's death makes sense. Like everything, like they got dealt this hand, like you were saying, and they said, all right, we're going to make this kind of come true. So in season 10, we're introduced to the Commonwealth, which plays a big part in the comics.
Yeah.
And I think it's starting to play out it's kind of like foreshadowing. Even though it took place 3 seasons ago, 4 years essentially back in 2018, it kind of foreshadows how the rest of the events of the show play out.
Yeah. I can't find it. No, right. I get it. It's definitely. Wait, what you're talking about, like Negan, or talking about just like the show going in the direction, the vision of the show?
The vision that Carl has of everyone kind of coming together, everyone living in peace, and not necessarily peace, but everyone coming together and making a better future.
Yeah, and yeah, it definitely is. That's definitely the goal and all that stuff. And it's funny because it's like, obviously that was Rick's goal, and he had to fight with Daryl with that, which was kind of annoying. But it had to lead to the whole Rick kind of injury, all that stuff. But I can't remember too much. It's been a while, obviously, but I can't remember how they filled that void, because obviously Rick was the one that was pushing for that new, that Carl's vision and all that stuff. I can't remember how they filled that. Was it, a little bit was through Michonne, and then when Michonne left, then what? You know what I'm saying?
So season 9 was everyone had actually, after Rick's departure, everyone had fallen out because they tried to fill in the 5-year gap. I don't think they did it successfully, but they showed some of the issues they had with like Michonne when she was pregnant, losing Judith and losing RJ and having to go find them in the school. You remember that episode?
Yeah, that was a goofy one, but yeah.
But essentially there was like this falling out with the kingdom, and Alexandria and Hilltop, and Maggie left Jesus in charge, and there's this big falling out, and everyone started to come together because the kingdom had that event where they were going to show the movie, and all this was going on where the kingdom's celebrating, having like this festival, and then in the background is the stuff with the Whisperers, which leads to the Whisperers infiltrating the kingdom while everyone finally comes together as a unit, and then killing Henry, Tara, Enid,
Okay,
and all those characters.
So almost forced to come. Now it's starting to come back to me because, like I said, it's been a while since I've watched season 9. But yeah, no, that makes sense. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things though too. Even with the Commonwealth, I think I have maybe like 2 episodes to finish in season 10. Like I'm not even up to date. I've been so busy. But I'm interested to see what they do with the Commonwealth, with the group and all that stuff as well. I'm excited to see what goes on with all that stuff, and with season 11 as well, to see how they kind of end it and how they keep that going forward. If they're going to keep Carl's vision still alive or well and keep it going or not.
Yes, because this is the end of The Walking Dead, but it's really not, because we're getting Michonne and Rick and Dead City and Daryl.
No, that's another thing though too as well with the Rick series. Now, obviously they were talking about it doing the 3 movies. It would be like the first one was going to be like, okay, what happened to him and all that stuff. Second one, whatever. But now it's like they can't even do that. They pushed it too far. It's been like 4 years since 3 years since he left, and no, it's going to be 4 years by the time they start filming it. So it's like, what do they even do? And then it's a show, Rick and Michonne spinoff. So it's like, what are you going to do? It's got to be in years later. You can't do, okay, what happened to Rick now?
Are the kids going to be in it? Like, are we going to see?
Well, so that's like the thing though too, because if they do it that way, where you have to start, okay, where did Rick go? What is this place? What's happening? How does Michonne relate to this? And all that stuff. Then the kids can't be in it because they're gonna be too old. You know what I'm saying? So like,
yeah, everything's driven by money too. So they're gonna keep making shit as long as money's flowing into it. Yeah. But is there a game plan to end this? Is there a game plan to officially end the series? I mean, you have all these spin-offs happening, but are we gonna get closure to Rick's story? Are we gonna get this closure that we want?
I don't know. I really don't know. I think, like you said, money talks. So I think they're definitely the Walking Dead universe is going to continue for many years, I would imagine. The problem is that right now they're finding themselves that all people care about is the actual show foundation, because a lot of those spin-offs, people, from what I've seen, review-wise, people don't care. They don't. The Walking AMC is not doing it right in the sense where it's actually engaging the viewer to the show. It's just kind of like forced into the world. But so it seems like all people care about is the original cast and all that stuff, that kind of show. So I guess that's all you're gonna do is you just have to wait and see what they do with it and where it goes from there. But I don't know. They have to keep the Commonwealth open ending because you got to keep those B characters alive. Or if you keep those B characters alive, they have to stay somewhere. So they have to stay at the Commonwealth. Then you're going to have these spin-off series with Daryl, Negan, Maggie, Rick, and all that stuff. So, like, there has to be a center point for the B characters. Like, if people like Rosita, Gabriel, Aaron, and all them stuff, where are they going to stay? You know what I'm saying? So, like, they're still great characters, but are they enough to have a spin-off series? I don't know. But they have to stay somewhere in case they do jump into like one of the spin-off, like Daryl spin-offs or something. So I wouldn't kill them off. That's just stupid.
I think the only characters they'll kill off, and this is based off season 10, is and this is without, I'm actually like pretending like I know nothing about season 11, but the only character I could see them potentially killing off is King Ezekiel, because he has cancer. He's got a tumor on his neck. The rest, I could see them living in harmony or something. Like, I can see a closure for them. I just don't know how they're going to do that.
I can see almost the exact opposite. I could see that they grab a handful of characters for season 11. How many episodes are left?
At the time of this posting, there'll be 2.
I could see them, because I don't know anything. I tried to stayed clear from season 11 spoilers because I haven't been caught up because of doing all this stuff. But I could see them killing almost a handful of characters, like maybe like 2 or 3 characters in this season.
Well, the final episode is called Rest in Peace.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
They did release the name of that, and it is called Rest in Peace.
Maybe that could be like tipping a hat to the show. Maybe we're lucky, You know what I mean? So it's like maybe they're not going to do anything crazy. Maybe that's just like a rest in peace to the show kind of thing. Maybe they're doing it in that manner.
And one of the issues I have, though, with these spinoffs is that they kind of also spoil the ending of the show, because we know that Negan's not dying. We know that Maggie's not dying. Daryl's not dying. Carol isn't dying because she was supposed to be a part of the Daryl show. We know
Well,
Rick's
unless
here.
they're like, okay, she doesn't want to be in it anymore, and then they do like a Dale thing and they just boot her, they fucking kill her. I don't know.
True.
You know what I mean? Carol's one of what sucks about Carol. Here's the thing: she might die. I'd be willing to bet she dies. I would be willing to bet somebody like $100 Carol dies.
Really?
She's gonna die.
You think
And
so?
for so many reasons, just because what I did see though, she did leave the Daryl spinoff show, right? She left that. She was supposed to be part of it, isn't anymore. She said, and I've seen something that she's mentioned that she's given so much to the character, what she has. She's done a phenomenal job. Carol's come literally zigzag the whole series. And it's kind of like the Rick effect, like you mentioned. What else are you going to do with Carol? Carol's been there from the beginning as well, so it's like there's not much more you could do with Carol. She had the relationship. She overcame the relationship. She became a badass. You know, her and Daryl became friends. She got sent off. Now she's even more of a badass. Now she has kind of a relationship again. She keeps losing people. She has to kill people. She's been through it all, you know, so it's like it would make sense with her, Melissa McBride, saying she's done all she could with the character and all that stuff, so she doesn't want to do a spinoff. There's not much more Carol can do. She's not one of those characters that can just sit at the Commonwealth, like I mentioned, like the Rosita or Gabriel and all that stuff. She's a big enough character that could have that. She needs that impact, so she needs to die. She's gonna die. I'm betting it.
You heard it here first. Carol's dying. Season finale or series finale. God,
Yeah.
It's so weird saying series finale.
I know, it sucks. I hate that. It's such a big part of my life, and since the beginning, literally 11 years I've been watching that thing.
I mean, we both have gone to Sonoy to go see Alexandria.
Yeah.
To see the walls up. I don't know about. Have you gone to conventions and met the actors or anything like that?
Unfortunately not. I would. That would have been awesome. I have not been able to do that. It was just something, you know, it was for my honeymoon that me and my wife, we were like, let's just do it. You know, we wanted to go down south somewhere, and then that they were tearing down the walls where they were supposed to tear down the walls like a week or two after we had the planned trip, but then ended up postponing it for like another month or so. But we ended up seeing the walls up and all that stuff, so we got fortunate with that. But that was definitely a cool trip.
I gotta go down there during the pandemic tour, which is when they were filming the final episode. So all the actors were like in area.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think they just finished filming at Alexandria, because there was like they had the one gate guard, but people were just walking. We walked straight up to the walls. We were like touching the walls and peeking around and looking through holes and stuff like that. Such a cool experience. And then going and meeting like Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I met Jeffrey, super cool dude.
I'm sure he's fantastic.
I had to. He's awesome. If
I'm
you get
sure
the
he
chance,
is.
you got to meet Jeffrey.
Oh,
You
hell yeah.
gotta.
A lot of those actors, you know, I feel like almost all those actors are very grateful and very fortunate, and they know it, you know, and I'm sure they're all great people to be around, honestly.
Michael Rooker, he's a hoot.
Yeah.
Ross Marquand, one of the nicest fucking dudes. I think he's the only one of The Walking Dead that I talked about The Walking Dead with.
Really?
And it was just kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of watching. It was 2021, and I was like, yeah, I just started binging it last year. Kind of binging it. I binge it and then take time off whenever I get depressed. And he's like, yeah, it's a depressing show. He's like, I can't just sit down and watch it. I just put it on whenever I'm doing laundry and stuff like that to keep up with it. I was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
But
he's definitely somebody, when I watch his interviews too, he's fun because he obviously does the impressions as well, but he seems cool too.
Well, to not kill too much more time, Avalon Comic, big comic, or maybe not yet, but it's getting there. Y'all got to go support it so it can get there. It's got great writing. It's got great art. We've talked a lot about it in the previous episode, so I'm going to link that episode. I'm going to link the Kickstarter. Go support it. 3rd issue out now, but I believe I saw you can still do the issue where you get the previous 2 issues whenever you get.
Oh, what for this Kickstarter? Yeah, we made an add-on for anybody. So if you wanted to get something specific with this, we call it an exclusive issue Kickstarter. So a lot of this is very focused on exclusive stuff. But if you ended up getting a cover that you do like, because there are 3 of them, you pick one or you pick one of the stuff. There is a part of the add-on where you can get issues 1 and 2 to kind of fulfill the whole experience. So you can kind of get ready from start to finish.
And is there anything you want to throw out there before we go?
Yeah, just basically look out for us. Look out for the Avalon title and all that stuff. We're really trying to make an impact in the indie comic world. It's a new zombie comic, obviously, but it's a bunch of different things. A lot of family values, mental health we're focusing on, real life physical issues pre-existing, like, cancers and heart problems and all that stuff. We're really trying to implement into it as well. Real conversations, real drama. And we're really, this is a comic that's really staying away from the hero's journey. We're really focusing on the world dictating what happens rather than writing it to fit a character. So the world is a big part of this thing. So if you sounds like anything you would like, definitely help us out, support us and all that stuff. And let's get this thing funded.
That's right. Let's get this thing funded. Support small independent horror creators. You can start right here with this Kickstarter. Brandon, it's been great having you on. It always is a ton of fun. This was a lot different than the last episode.
Oh yeah,
and
it's definitely fun. Definitely worth it. I definitely enjoyed this.
I'm sure people are gonna love hearing our gripes about The Walking Dead, even though we both love the show.
Oh yeah, definitely. From start to finish, loved it. It's a huge part of my life. Obviously, a big influence of what we got here, but definitely love the show. Don't get us wrong here.
But there's a lot coming up for the both of us. You can see what's coming up with Avalon Comic by following them on social media. And you can see what's happening with Dude Horrifying by following me on social media. A lot of big guests coming on here shortly. And a lot more Kickstarters to be funded for Avalon. And until next time, stay horrifying, my dude.